Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Let's sit back, get comfy, and take a gentle stroll through the book of 2 Corinthians in the New Testament. I'm walking you through it in everyday language, no theological overcomplication, just straight talk. Perfect for new learners and Gen Z folks who want something warm, clear, and real. Hey friends, so glad you're here. If you've ever wondered how to connect deep ancient words to our modern lives, you're in the right place. Today we're diving into 2 Corinthians. Who wrote it, when and why, and what it means for you and me. Think of this as a casual chat on a comfy couch, not a lecture. Grab your favorite snack, maybe your headphones, and let's jump in. The book is the letter to the Church of God in Corinth, together with all the saints throughout Achaia. The author introduces himself, Paul, an apostle of Christ Jesus by the will of God, and Timothy, our brother. This letter was written around AD 55 to 57, likely from Macedonia, while Paul was traveling on his third missionary journey. The purpose? Several things: to defend Paul's ministry and authority, to encourage the church in Corinth in their relationships and generosity, to restore broken trust, and to warn about false teachers. Okay, so now let's break it down into simple words. The writer is the Apostle Paul alongside his co-worker Timothy, though Paul is the main voice. He starts the letter saying, Paul and Timothy, our brother. He's writing sometime around AD 55 to 57, probably from the region of Macedonia, that's around Greece. Paul had already written to the church in Corinth once before, which we now know as 1 Corinthians. He had even visited them in person, but things got complicated. Some drama, misunderstandings, hurt feelings. So this letter comes after that messy season. Here's what's going on. The church in Corinth was facing all kinds of issues. There were divisions, moral confusion, and people struggling to live out what they believed. Some folks started questioning Paul's leadership. They were basically saying, "Who are you to tell us what to do? Are you even legit?" So Paul writes this letter to defend his integrity and remind them why he cares so much about them. There was also the issue of generosity. Paul had encouraged the churches to give financial help to believers in Jerusalem who were struggling. Some in Corinth had started strong but lost motivation. He wanted to inspire them again, not to pressure, but to remind them that giving from the heart brings people together. And finally, Paul wanted to heal the relationship. There had been tension between him and some in the church. People had misunderstood his motives, questioned his sincerity. This letter is full of emotion, love, frustration, hope, and forgiveness, all mixed together. The letter itself flows like this. Paul starts with a greeting and thanksgiving. He opens up about his own hardships and how God comforts him through it. Then he explains why he changed his travel plans, not because he's flaky, but because he wanted to spare them more tension. He talks about forgiveness, urging them to restore someone who had messed up. Then he gets real about his ministry, how tough it's been, how much he's suffered, but also how worth it all is. He says that the message of Jesus is like treasure in jars of clay, fragile but full of glory. Later, he talks about giving, that generosity should come from joy, not guilt. He uses examples like farmers planting seeds. If you plant generously, you'll harvest generously too. Finally, he addresses the people who had been trash-talking him, false teachers claiming to be super apostles. Paul says, "Look, I might not be flashy or powerful in speech, but my life and heart are real. I care deeply for you." He reminds them that real strength is shown in weakness, not pride. Let's bring that into our world for a second. Imagine you're part of a student club at your college. You're passionate about it. You've been with it since the start. The founder, let's call her Alex, has always been there guiding and encouraging. But some new members show up and start stirring things up. They say, why are we even following Alex? She's not that organized. She's not the best speaker. Suddenly the vibe changes. People start doubting, trust fades, and the mission gets blurry. So Alex sends a heartfelt message. She says, hey, I'm still with you. I've had to make tough choices, and maybe I wasn't clear before, but I still believe in what we're doing. Let's rebuild trust. Let's remember why we started. That's basically what Paul is doing. He's saying to the church, hey guys, we've come a long way. I still care. Let's not let drama ruin what God's doing among us. Or picture a startup. The founder makes a hard call. cancels a launch, changes direction. Investors start whispering, can they handle it? The founder writes a transparent letter explaining what went wrong, how they're learning, and why the mission still matters. That honesty, that's what Paul's doing here. He's leading with vulnerability instead of ego. And the generosity part? Think of it like a group of friends setting up a GoFundMe for someone in need. Some donate right away, others scroll past thinking someone else will handle it. Paul's saying, generosity isn't just about money, it's about unity. It's saying, we're in this together. Or maybe you've had a falling out with a close friend. Misunderstandings pile up, you stop talking. Then one day you send that message, hey, can we talk? I miss you. That's reconciliation. That's what Paul's doing with the church. It's a letter about repairing relationships. And that theme runs deep through 2 Corinthians. It's about grace and weakness, honesty and leadership, generosity from the heart, and the beauty of reconciliation. So what can we take from it today? First, if you ever feel like people don't trust you or they misunderstand your heart, remember, even Paul went through that. And he didn't give up. He stayed humble, stayed honest, and let his actions speak louder than his defense. Second, if you pulled back from giving or helping because it felt thankless or messy, remember that generosity isn't about recognition. It's about connection. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, adds light to the world. Third, if you're in any community right now, in a group chat, a club, a church, a friend circle, and you sense tension or gossip, maybe you can be the bridge builder. Maybe you can say, let's talk it through. Let's fix this. Reconciliation doesn't happen by accident. Someone has to make the first move. Fourth, I don't know if you've been struggling, feeling weak or tired, remember Paul's words, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. That means your weakness doesn't disqualify you. So it's the place where God's strength shows up the most. You don't have to be perfect to be purposeful. And finally, here's a gentle challenge. This week, try one small act that reflects this letter's heart. Maybe reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe show generosity in time, money, or just kindness without expecting anything back. Maybe just be honest about how you're really doing. You'd be surprised how healing honesty can be. The beauty of 2 Corinthians is that it reminds us that faith isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about finding hope even when things are complicated. It's about living real. Paul didn't write this letter as a polished speech. It's more like a voice memo from someone who's been through a lot but still believes love and grace are stronger than pride and pain. And honestly, that's what makes it timeless. Whether you're scrolling TikTok at midnight or sitting quietly thinking about life, this message still fits. You don't have to have it all together. You can be both broken and brave. You can be honest and hopeful at the same time. Thanks so much for hanging out and letting me walk you through 2 Corinthians. I hope this felt like a friendly conversation rather than a lecture. Remember, these ancient words still speak into our modern chaos. If you found something meaningful here, that's awesome. If you have questions, that's even better. And keep asking, keep exploring.